Hello guys, today in this video we will continue with built-in potential barrier. So the part that was left in the previous video, we are going to continue that. So if you remember, I showed you in the previous video part 1, built-in potential barrier part 1. I told you actually we are taking a bulk silicon material, part of which is doped with donor impurity atom and part of which is doped with acceptor impurity atom. So this part is doped with acceptor impurity atom. This part is doped with donor impurity atom. So you got p type material over here and t type is sorry n type material over here. This is the junction that separates the two types of extrinsic material p and n. This whole thing we called a pn diode, right, or a pn junction, right, that is formed over here, right. Now we discussed about the majority and minority charge carriers in both the sides, and we said when the majority charge carrier electrons will move from n type to p type, and the majority charge carrier holes will move from p to n side, then you will get a space charge region over here, right? So as electron will move from n to p, you got positive space charge region over here, and similarly as hole moves from p region to n region, you got negative space charge region over here, right? So this overall you can see here an electric field is actually created over here, and this electric field here actually prevents the further flow of negative charge carrier from the n region to p region, or further flow of holes from p region to n region. And that's why we said a built-in potential barrier, okay, a potential barrier is created, and we wrote it in notation vbi. B for built in, potential is v, so built-in potential barrier. And this region we said as space charge region or the depletion region, right? This is what we did. Now the question is, quantitatively we are going to see what is this built-in potential barrier. So in terms of the known variables, how we can write it. Okay, so now the question is, as we said, built-in potential barrier, you can see, any electron which will try to move from the conduction band of this n region to the conduction band of the p region here, because electrons will only switch in, switch or will move from conduction band to conduction band. So electron from here, from the conduction band of the n region, if it will go to conduction band of the p region, okay, conduction band of the p region, then it has to like overcome this potential barrier, which we said this vvi. Now we will use the same concept for the holes, okay, moving from here. Okay, suppose I will say a hole from here. One second, let me. Okay, so if I will similarly consider hole from here, will I mean from the valence band, of course, right? From the valence band, from this p region to the valence band in the n region, if there will be a movement of hole, then also it will experience the same potential barrier. So this is what we understood. Now in terms of energy band diagram, if I will try to represent this p region and n region, we said let us draw the energy band diagram for the p type semiconductor. Okay, so simply we know this is your conduction band. Okay, suppose you have taken silicon, germanium, whatever. So conduction band and valence band. Okay, same way you can write, for example, I will show you for n type. Okay, for n type separately, I'm just drawing it, then I will tell you what will happen if I will try to combine or take together both this p and n type material, right? So this is valence band. So here you can see the order, because I said it is the same silicon, okay, or germanium. So the order is, suppose for example, as we know, like up to the order of 1 electron volt. So this is there. But here one thing you need to keep in mind, when we said intrinsic Fermi energy level, intrinsic Fermi level, if you will see, we said it is somewhere in the mid gap of EC and EV. So somewhere approximately somewhere in the middle of EC and EV. So I'm just naming that. So if I'll just show this dotted line over here representing the intrinsic Fermi energy level, that means when there was no doping, no impurity added to the intrinsic material, then its Fermi energy level will be here. Okay, we have already discussed this in some other videos, you can refer to that. And then when you are adding, like we said, Na or acceptor impurity or trivalent impurity atom to the intrinsic silicon or something, then we said that the Fermi energy level here, which was there for the intrinsic level, I mean intrinsic semiconductor, I'm sorry, intrinsic semiconductor, that will be shifted a bit down closer to the valence band. Okay, so close to the valence band. So this one I'm writing as the Fermi energy level after doping, right? You can refer to the other video. What is that change in the Fermi energy level when you are adding impurity atoms to it? Okay, same way here when you are adding donor impurity atoms to get extra electrons in the conduction band, okay, because of these donor electrons, right, or the donor impurity atoms, we said that the Fermi energy level will be shifted little up, right, from the intrinsic Fermi energy level. So you can see the change here. This is the change. This will shift down in case of p type or impurity, trivalent impurity. And for pentavalent impurity, when pentavalent impurity is added, the Fermi energy level will shift little up, right? This is what we said, right? Now, when in this case, this is the bulk material, which is a combination of both P and N type material. And when we'll add these two, okay, I mean, when they will be taken together, what you need to see, you can see, like, this Fermi energy is actually a function of temperature, right? And also the, the doping concentration and all. But if you'll consider that no voltage is applied across the PN junction, okay, if I will combine this, like you can see over here, there is no voltage applied across the PN junction, then the junction is in thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium means every section in this PN junction you consider will have the same temperature, right? So at this particular temperature, at a constant value of temperature, the Fermi energy should be constant throughout the entire system. Now they are not two different systems like P type and N type. When you combine, it's a whole, it's a total, the system is this PN junction is the total system, right? And the temperature everywhere, every cross section you consider, it is same. Okay, so your Fermi energy level as a function of temperature has to be constant throughout the system. So now if I can see there is a difference, in the position of the Fermi energy level. But now when I will combine this, then what will happen, initially, as we said, that the majority charge carriers, like from N region, majority charge carrier electrons will flow from N region to P region, and holes similarly will flow from P region to N region. Then they will reach to a equilibrium condition. So when you will get this equilibrium condition after this diffusion of what majority charge carriers from N to P or P to N, right? So initially when we will add, these two materials, then what will happen, you see, we have this. Okay, I'm drawing it again. So this is your EC of P type, okay, and this is your EC conduction band for N type, right? And the same way your valence band, because the gap is same, exactly the same. So here we have the EV for N type and EV for P type. Now there is a difference between what the Fermi energy level. So here you said the Fermi energy level is close to the conduction band, and here the Fermi energy level is close to the valence band in P type, right? Now when we will combine this, we said this Fermi energy level will be constant, and that will be constant after what, after the equilibrium. And when that equilibrium will arise, when the electrons will move from, here from this conduction band to the P region here, okay, and similarly you can see the holes from the valence band here, holes from the valence band here will actually move from this to this, and then there will be a potential barrier created, okay, so that there will be no further flow of electrons. And what is that potential barrier? If I want to, keep my Fermi energy level constant, okay, what will happen when these electrons will move from n type to n region to p region, gradually what will happen, this Fermi energy level will keep on reducing. So this Fermi energy level here, which Fermi energy level actually gives you, it's a measure of the energy of the electrons present in the semiconductor. So you can see the Fermi energy level will go little down and down as the electrons will move. Okay, and then we'll have a particular value, or you can say it will attain that equilibrium condition. The same way here, when the holes will start moving, this Fermi energy level will go up and up, right, this side, and this side it will go down and down. Okay, then what will happen when they will reach to a constant value, like this went little up, this came little down, and they will reach to a constant value because of this thermal equilibrium. And when the thermal equilibrium is achieved, when there is a space charge region created or the depletion region created. So what you can see, now what will happen when there is a potential barrier created in between, so this electron cannot now jump to that potential barrier. So finally what will happen, to match this Fermi energy level to fall in this dotted line, you can see what we can do is the potential step that is created here, okay, between this p and n region can be shown this way. So this is the potential drop. Of course, you see this is a continuous energy band because it's the same junction, so it's the same system, right? It is now one system. So this will be the conduction band. Okay, now see the electrons over here in the conduction band. Okay, we'll experience this value of energy or barrier or potential barrier here. This amount of energy or this amount of potential barrier is, I mean, needs to be overcome by these electrons to move from the conduction band of n region to the conduction band of p region. Okay, the same way, if I will just show the Fermi energy level, what we got now, the Fermi energy level, you got that the Fermi energy level is constant throughout because of what, because of thermal equilibrium, right? So the Fermi energy level is constant throughout the entire system. So we can just show this Fermi energy level in this way. So this is our Fermi energy level now. So this is the Fermi energy level, right, which is now constant throughout, right? Intrinsic Fermi energy level, if you want to show, then the same amount of bending. Bending means what? Bending is here the measure of what? Measure of your potential barrier, right? The potential barrier that is created. So this will be this dotted one I'm using for the intrinsic Fermi energy level, which is just for reference. It is now no more required because it's not an intrinsic semiconductor now, because both the sides are doped, okay, with impurity atoms. Now the valence band will similarly, you can see this Fermi energy level is close to the valence band here in p type, will undergo the same, like sorry, here same kind of bending, same amount of bending, and then here, so this will be the valence band. Now you can see the holes, okay, holes here from the valence band of this p region will experience the equivalent amount of, or equal amount of potential barrier to move from the p region to the n region, valence band of the n region, right? So now what we need to measure is, we need to measure what is this value actually. Okay, we need to measure this value here. Okay, this is our potential barrier. This is our potential barrier in terms of energy. If I will write, then we can write this energy as what, if VBI is our potential, we wrote, then multiplied with E, the charge of the electron, will give us the magnitude of the potential barrier. Okay, so the same amount of bending you can see here between EFI and this here EFI here, EC here, and EV here. So what is our objective? Our objective is to measure this EVBI, or simply we can say what is the value of VBI here mathematically. So this is what we need to find out. Okay, so what this particular figure gives you, this particular figure actually shows you the energy band diagram for the PN junction in thermal equilibrium. Okay, so both side, if you'll see the conduction band, valence band, and the Fermi energy level is close to the valence band over here, just like in P type. So its original property is as it is. So similarly here you can see the Fermi energy level is close to the conduction band for N type semiconductor, which is there, but only in between you got a potential barrier. You can see this region here, you can see the bent region over here gives you the space charge region or the depletion region, and there is a potential step created. Now the electrons and holes, they will experience a barrier actually, okay, to move from the conduction band of N to P, or from the valence band of P to N, and that maintains the equilibrium actually. Okay, so this is how. Okay, so what we can say is the conduction and valence band energies must bend as we go through the space charge region, right? For what? So that the Fermi energy level can be maintained or can be kept constant, because at a certain temperature, we said for the entire system the Fermi energy level has to be constant, right? So what is the next step? Next step is we need to measure this potential barrier that we wrote here, this green region. What is the amount of potential that will be faced by these electrons or these majority charge carriers actually to move, okay? Or what is the potential step created? That is the measure of the built-in potential barrier. Okay, so fine, let us now mathematically do this. I'm just redrawing it again, just to write in terms of VBI. So sorry, this is our conduction band. Okay, both the region, this is P region and this is the N side. Okay, then you have the Fermi energy level, which is almost like constant this way. This is our Fermi energy level, which is constant, right? And then we have the valence band. So valence band, we said, you will have the bend exactly the same way. It's the same value here. So you got this is the valence band. Okay, so once this is done, what we are going to measure is we are going to find out this potential barrier. So potential barrier here in terms of energy I need to write, because I can see there is a energy gap between the conduction band of P region and conduction band of N region. So in terms of potentially I will write VBI, but in terms of energy, if I'll write, I need to multiply the electronic charge. As we know, W is equal to QV, so energy can be written in this form. W is equal to Q. V is your potential, Q is the charge, and W is the work done or the energy. So we can write in this form. Okay. So that is one. And then for this, for convenience, what we can do is we can show the Fermi energy level. The Fermi energy level, which is somewhere in between this, you know, the conduction band and valence band, which will also bend by the same amount. Okay, okay, by the same amount as that of the conduction band and the valence band. Now what we can see from here, the net bending of the conduction band, which is shown as this EVBI, must be the net bending of the Fermi energy level here. This is the same thing, right? And here also you can see, if I'll just draw the bending of the valence band, so this is also the same thing, right? Because they all have fixed position as per, for P type and N type material. So we have this is our EFI before uh, the dopant atoms were added. So now here simply we can say, these white portions shown over here, they are actually the same thing, same value, right? Which is EVBI, we said. Now mathematically we have already discussed earlier, and we can also find out that what is the what is the shift here. Okay, what is the shift of the Fermi energy level from the intrinsic Fermi energy level we have the formula, so we can write this. And also the same way here, what is the shift in the Fermi energy level when some impurity atom is added to the to the intrinsic semiconductor. So suppose I will just name it as, in terms of energy I'm writing, so I will write it as E phi. Phi for the potential I'm writing, E is the charge here, and I'm using it to be F, shifting of the Fermi energy, so I will write it as F and P for the P side. Similarly, I will write this to be E phi for the potential and F for the shifting of the Fermi level, and N. So there is no problem. So I can write EVBI. Finally, we can write EVBI. That gives you the total energy over here that is needed for the electron to move from the N region to the P region. That can be written as actually E times phi Fp plus E times phi Fn. So it is evident clearly from the diagram, because this value is exactly this value. Then again, this value we can see this is E phi Fp plus E phi Fn. So I can add those, right? Then you can cancel this E if you want, because this is common, so that we can write the net potential barrier VBI is actually nothing but phi Fp, that is the potential gap between the intrinsic Fermi energy level over here and the Fermi energy level in the P region, plus the intrinsic Fermi energy level between the this gap, I mean the intrinsic Fermi energy level and Fermi energy level in the N side, which is phi Fn. In terms of potential only we are writing, so phi Fn we wrote. Okay, so now in terms of potential, we just wrote this two potentials, phi Fp for the P region, phi Fn for the N region. Then we will just use the mathematical formulae that we have already obtained. Okay, so finally I'm going to write this to be VBI, which is our built-in potential, and we want to write it mathematically. What are the functions that we are going to see? So this can be written as phi Fn, the magnitude we are writing, because I showed you that it is the same thing. Okay, so irrespective of the potential, lower or higher potential and all, we need to consider the magnitude. Okay, so I just put the modulus of this. Now in the N region, if you will see in the N region, or for the N region, okay, the electron concentration in the conduction band, we have already determined this in one of the videos, you can see that. So the formula says N0, that is the electron concentration in the conduction band for N region, that is given by Ni, which is the intrinsic carrier concentration, and exponential e to the power, we can write in this write this way as a bracket form. This is actually can be read as e to the power, okay, given as EF minus EFI. You can see what is this. EF minus EFI is the shift in the Fermi energy level that I showed you in the diagram. I can just take you back, so you can see if for the N region, if I'm writing, this is the value I'm talking about, okay, here. So that is what is written, EF minus EFI over here, and divided by K, Boltzmann constant, and the temperature. So this is what we got. Okay, so that I need this actually, this EF minus EFI thing as phi F, this is what I need actually, the gap in the energy, right? So that I can write it in terms of, E phi Fn, and then I can find it out. So make that as the subject, this EF minus EFI. So we can write this as EF minus EFI here can be written as KT times ln logarithm of n0 divided by ni. This is simple. So you can see this, exponential of this whole thing will be n0 by ni. So you got this. Then you have this e to the power, means you can write this to be what? Kt logarithm of n0 by ni. All right. You take, natural logarithm of both the sides. So you got this EFI minus EF. Then you multiply this KT back again here. So a simple step, you got this EF minus EFI is equal to this. Now, as we said, this n0 is the, the electron concentration over here. Now for n type material, we can actually consider this n0, the total number of electron concentration is nearly equal to the donor electrons that is present. Why so? because if you remember in the previous video, in the part 1, I told you that the total electron concentration should be actually what? Nd. Okay, Nd is what? The total, you consider that all the donor electrons are, elevated to the conduction band from the donor energy level, and that will happen if you will consider complete ionization. Complete ionization means what? All the donor electrons left immobile ions in the donor energy level and moved to the conduction band. So this plus there will be some amount of, this is N0, so there will be some amount of intrinsic carrier concentration already at a certain temperature. But if you see, this Ni value is actually very, very less as compared to this Nd. That's the reason we took, this Ni value, let me just write, is very, very much less than this Nd value here. Okay, because the intrinsic carrier concentration will be very less at room temperature as compared to Nd in a regular N-type material. So you considered N0 to be Nd, and the objective you can also write in the form of N0, but that is not a problem. But the objective is, like, to write in terms of doping concentration, and we know practically this Ni value is very, very less as compared to the Nd value. So instead of taking it N0, you can write it as Nd. That's the only objective, right? So if I'll substitute this N0 as Nd, we can rewrite it again. So I can write Ef minus EFI. Okay, this is equal to your Kt ln N0, I wrote Nd divided by Ni, the intrinsic carrier concentration. Now this Ef minus EFI is actually nothing but your what? E times phi Fn. Okay, so this is the gap in the previous diagram I just showed you. This is the gap, right? E phi Fn. So I substituted that. Okay, so finally we can write E times phi Fn can be written as Kt times logarithm of Nd, the doping concentration, okay, dopant atoms that is added, and Ni, right? So from this we can write phi Fn, which is actually needed, okay, because phi Fn mod and phi Fp mod we need. So we can write this to be Kt by E ln, and this will be Nd by Ni, right? This is what we got. Now the same way, once you got this phi Fn, you can also find out what is phi Fp, right? The same way you can write what is phi Fp. Okay, so similarly, if you want to write like what is the whole concentration, okay, whole concentration in the p-type material, so you can write in terms of intrinsic carrier concentration, then exponential of you have EFI minus EF. That gives you the exactly the same shift in the Fermi energy level. Okay, so here you can see EFI minus EF. If I'll take you back to this, so this gives you the EFI minus EF, which is nothing but E phi FP. Okay, so this now can be replace here. So we will make this at the subject EFI minus EF. So I can write this to be EFI minus EF can be written as Kt times ln, exactly the same way. So P0 by Ni we can write. So now for p-type semiconductor, okay, p-type semiconductor, we can also consider P0, that is the whole concentration in the valence band, can be written as nearly equal to the impurity concentration using the same principle as I said. P0 should be actually the total amount of hole that is created because of the acceptor state, because acceptor state will accept one electron from the valence band, because valence band is very close to the acceptor state, and hence more number of holes will be created in the valence band. That is what we said. And then number of holes that is created because of the impurity, plus there will be some more holes already there because of what? The temperature in intrinsic semiconductor. So that will be there, which is nothing but your Ni value here. Okay, Ni value only we are writing for intrinsic. So Ni again, this Ni is much less than Ni value, intrinsic carrier concentration, much less than here Ni or Pi, you write whatever. but it's the same thing. Okay, because number, or I mean the intrinsic carrier concentrations are the same. So if I can write pi is equal to ni over here, that gives you the concentration of the intrinsic carrier concentration actually of holes, of course, for p type, as I'm saying. So is less than na, much less than na, so we will ignore this term. So that way I can substitute p0 is nearly equal to your na. Now we will substitute the same here in P0, and this E phi minus EF is nothing but your E phi FP that I showed you. So this can be replaced as E times phi FP. Okay, and this P0 can be substituted as Na. So finally, I can write what this phi times Fp, okay, can be written as the same way Kt by E ln, and you got this to be Na divided by Ni. Okay. So now if I'll write Vbi is nothing but the magnitude of both phi Fn and phi Fp taken together. Okay, and we'll substitute these values, which gives me kt by e ln, and we got this nd divided by ni plus kt by e and ln, and this we got na by ni. Okay, so that we can take this kt by e common, and in this we got this nd and na divided by ni square. Okay, so this is what we got. So vbi is equal to kt by e ln nd na divided by ni square. Okay, this kt by e, sometime we write it as, the notation we use for this is vt. Okay, and we call it as thermal voltage. This is nothing but kt by e. In some textbook you can see it is written as kt by e, somewhere it is again written as vt, which is kt by e only, and is defined as the thermal voltage, right? So can be written as ln and whatever nd na divided by ni square, right? So now you can actually calculate the built-in potential barrier for a p-n junction that is developed here in the space charge region. Okay, across the junction over here. So this space charge region, okay, whatever voltage potential difference is created, or the potential step is created, that can be written in terms of this kt, Boltzmann constant, T absolute temperature, E is electronic charge, logarithmic function of what, ndna, the product of the doping concentrations for both the n type, n region, and the p region, divided by ni square. Okay, so knowing this k is constant, E is constant, so knowing the value of the temperature, okay, temperature of the surrounding or the semiconductor itself, okay, and knowing the doping profile, doping concentration, nd is the dopant atoms that is added for the n region, and na is the acceptor impurity or trivalent impurity that you added for to form the p region, right? And of course this ni, that is the intrinsic carrier concentration, square of this. Okay, so square of this, so ni. So these are the variables that we need to find out this built-in potential barrier. The magnitude is given by kt by e ln nd na divided by ni square. Okay, so this is it. Thank you so much for watching the video. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.